So what is an interface? An interface is essentially the thing that takes your audio that you're recording and gets it into your computer. That's it. It's a really advanced sound card, if you've ever heard of that term before, sound card. You may still hear people say that, but sound card, interface, essentially, technically the same thing. I wouldn't think too much about it. But that's what you plug your mics into, your guitars, your basses. It takes the information coming from your instruments, goes beep, bop, boop, changes it to a language the computer can understand, and then your computer saves it. Then, when your computer plays that back, it takes the digital information, beep, bop, boop, translates it again in a conversion process to an analog signal that goes out of your speakers or into a set of headphones. The level and the accuracy of that conversion process is the biggest difference that you're going to notice in price differences between interfaces. So you're like, why is that one $5,000 and this one's like $200? That conversion process is really scientific and it can be very accurate. It's kind of like the same thing between like a really high performance race car and then like a go-kart. It's like, yeah, go-kart will definitely get you down the street by all means. It's still fun, lots of fun. But if you were in a race car, you're going to get there much faster and it's going to be really exhilarating. And that's pretty much the difference that you're going to see with pretty much everything we're going to be talking about. Your interface has a couple of things. A preamp, which is what you're going to need for pretty much microphones. It's confusing because it is technically an amplifier, but it's a pre-amplifier. I wouldn't think about it too much. Just know that preamps are for microphones. That's all you need to know. So you'll need as many preamps in your interface as the amount of microphones that you're going to be using for your recording. And you want to make sure that those preamps can send phantom power, which most interfaces will do. And some microphones require phantom power. Some don't. That's something you're going to have to look at when we get into microphones later. Another thing that your interface will have is most likely the volume knob. Like that's how you're controlling your speakers. So when I turn the little knob down there, my speakers get louder or quieter, depending on which way you turn that knob. You'll also have the controls for your microphone gain, which is essentially volume, a little more complex, but it's essentially volume for your microphones, speakers, and everything that's coming in and out of your system. So mic pre's, you'll need those, and as many as microphones that you will be using while you're recording. So if you're doing just singing, you probably only need one. If you're doing singing and acoustic guitar, you're probably going to need two. One for your vocals, one to record the guitar, and then you would blend them in post. Doing a whole band, well then you need to get everybody together and see how many signals they're sending, and you start doing some math. Other I/O besides mic pre's is lines in. So something like a synthesizer or a keyboard, and also like bass guitars are really commonly just plugged directly into an interface and then just recorded from there. Guitars are a little more complicated because you can be using a microphone to mic up an amp, or nowadays you might be using a modeler, which a lot of modelers you can just, or like the Axe-Fx or Helix or Neural Quad Cortex, those you can also just plug straight in. So that comes back to what signal are you sending and what kind of cable should you use to your I/O, which comes to another section that we will cover later. Each type of instrument may send a specific kind of level, and you may damage something by sending the wrong signal to the wrong place. Really want to make sure you're reading your manuals and making sure you're plugging things into the right place, because sometimes it may still have the same physical connection, but it may be sending a more powerful signal, and you can damage equipment by sending the wrong signal to the wrong place. So just because it fits physically in there does not mean it's the right place to put it, so be careful. So to recap, an interface takes audio signal in, converts it to digital information that your computer can store and edit and then play back. Audio in is converted, stored in the computer. Once it's played back, it's converted the opposite way to go back out of your speakers and into your headphones. You are going to need an interface. The better interface you get, the better your recordings.